Yeah, no, good. I'm glad.
I
Um,
was really upset, starting to get upset at first,
well, it's
but
well,
once we're just talking, it's good.
yeah, and it's easy to get upset. It's hard to talk about, but what I found for me, part of this journey and part of talking to people, has been about um, being visibly upset in the presence of another person because that's what I wasn't doing for so long.
Hmm.
And it became habit. So whenever anything upset me, you put the steel in your spine and I feel that tightness in my chest and because I'm just bottling it all in.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard. And, to get on camera and talk about some of these things is very hard. But, um, and it's hard not to fall into that where you're like, where you tighten up and hold everything in. And,
Yeah.
but once you start it, I find it gets better. There was one thing I did want to talk to you about, and it's something that we talked about when we were on the hiking camp. And I think I'd mentioned that I moved away from Borden, and I noticed that I wasn't hearing helicopters anymore all the time. And um, yeah, and we kind of talked about that. And I believe what you said to me was, "Do you find your heart rate isn't up as high anymore?" And I was said no, because to me, I was an infanteer, and a helicopter meant I'm going for a ride, or I'm going rappelling, or somebody's coming to pick us up, or we have close fire, close air support. It meant good things. And can you talk a bit about?
Even when the helicopters come over here searching for fires or whatever, I can feel my heart rate go up because helicopters meant guys were coming in. So, yeah.
And how do you manage, like, how powerful is that feeling when it happens? Like, are you very aware of it, or do you find you're not aware of it and it just kind of catches you by surprise? Or
No, well, as soon as I hear it, I'm aware of it
yeah.
and I can feel it come up. But I mean, in the beginning, it was terrible. I'd plug my ears, go try to calm myself down. But now I think, okay, they're just checking for marijuana or,
Let me
a
know if they
fire.
find some. Yeah. No.
So,
um but when you said that to me, that really struck me, that difference, and,
mhm.
and that's and that has stuck with me as I started this trip. And I said, I want to make sure to talk. I don't just want this to be the RCR club or the Combat Arms Club, because the perception is so different.
Mhm.
Because that never occurred to me that somebody would hear that sound and take it in such a different way. And I think that's really important, that again, that you're telling your story, because um, I remember I was struck by it was a medic. I'd met him in 2007, and on exercise, actually, in Petawawa, and I met him a year later in Afghanistan
Oh,
after he'd been there 6 or 7 months, and visibly changed.
yeah.
you know and and that's when it hit me that, I go out and I see this or that, or I see this little piece of the battle space, but this guy sees the effects of everything that happens. you know and I really think it's very important that you're sharing that, because I know there's people within your peer group, whether they know you or not, who need to hear it from somebody,
Yeah.
from somebody like you. you know so thank you for that. Like, that means a lot.
No, thank you.
So, on to the future.
Yeah.
um what is it you do now to well, I guess, one, to manage those symptoms and the illness and the injury, and what do you find, your purpose and passion, and what, well, I guess I'm jumping all over the place here. Let me dial it back again. We'll go with the simple question: Are you employed now? And what is it you're doing?
I am employed. I was so angry when they were medically releasing me. I thought they can't use me after everything I've done and put into this. And I said they can retrain me because I'm a nurse and now I can't do what I was good at. But on a whim, I applied for the nurse practitioner course and I got in. And I didn't think the military would pay, but the rehab people said yes. And I became a nurse practitioner. It was a hard few years of doing the schooling because I was going through my eye changes plus the PTSD and depression. And but I did it all pretty well online, and I would do a couple hours, go lay on the couch, go back to it, go to the couch, and but what I did for those 2 years was it gave me that focus, and as you know, that you're focusing on other things, you don't work on yourself. So I still wasn't working on myself. So, anyways,
Yeah.
I'm going all over.
No, that's fine. That's
So
all
I
good.
work 2 days a week now at Belvedere Heights. It's a long-term care home, and I would have liked to have gone into a clinic, except for it's really hard to find a part-time job for nurse practitioners. So I work 2 days a week, and they're really accommodating. They're flexible. I can switch my days if I'm not having a good day, and or I don't feel I'm on enough to, think of the meds and everything that's going to be going on. Yeah.
Okay. Another off, another curveball. Your employer, how are they? They know about your service and everything, obviously, and have they given you any feedback on how they feel about having somebody with that experience on the team?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do they feel about that?
Um, well, they feel really good. They have a veterans dinner, and I got invited, and for the veterans that are in the home and stuff, and they're really respectful of the PTSD. Like I said, they allow me to have flexible days if I'm having a bad day, and mind you, I don't take advantage of that. But yeah, they're great.
And the veterans who are there in care, how do they feel about?
Oh, I don't. Some of them I'm okay at telling. Other ones, I honor them.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I make sure, and it's great because I know that Veterans Affairs, if they haven't had Veterans Affairs, because some of them are quite elderly and never tapped into it, they can get a wheelchair. I can get some social work in for them, lots of things, and I know that, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. What in terms of treatment? Um. I mean, I don't know what stage or what you're doing for treatment and everything, but how did you find? How was it beginning treatment, and how is it like ongoing? Like, I know, like these are the hard questions, right? Like, what
Well,
was it harder to get started? Is it harder the more you get into it, or what's
well,
the?
it's definitely hard to start. Definitely. I mean, your heels are dug in thinking. And then once you start, you think, okay, I can do this. It's going to get better, A couple years, done.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. And the more you work on yourself, the harder it gets because you got to dig deep to where, the root of the stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so the CF, the Canadian Forces, paid for school, and you're obviously tapped into Veterans Affairs. How have you found their support, well, either from CISUP and through Manulife and Veterans Affairs? How have they been as far as supporting you?
They've been good supporting me. I have a really good caseworker. But the trouble is, which I find very difficult, and I think that um, I'm pretty good with paperwork because I'm a nurse. And I handled a lot of paperwork, especially in the military as well. Um, you get so much, and your mind's not there. You get the Manulife, you get fax sending stuff, and you're supposed to fill it all out and sign it, or and send it back. Well, you got 4 or 5 envelopes on your table, and half the time I just throw it in the beginning. I didn't touch it. It was like a huge pile, and my husband helped me through it. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine if I didn't have somebody here to help me,
Yeah.
how it would be for a person on their own.
I know when a Veterans Affairs envelope shows up, no
Yeah.
matter big or small, I can feel my heart rate go up. And I mean, and it's not. I'm not slamming Veterans Affairs about that. It's just that there's something about engaging with that system or filling out that paperwork, and I'm very capable with paperwork.
Yeah.
I'm a relatively smart guy sometimes, but when that paperwork shows up, I don't even want to open it. Like, I'm terrible at getting it done and getting it back. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing, like if it's that admission of I can't do this anymore, or that admission of I'm struggling because it's associated, or if it's feeling like, oh, this is another thing I have to fight with.
Exactly.
You know,
Part of me, I think it was that, because I'm always afraid. Because I hate to say, in the military, everything's a darn well fight, usually, and yeah, so you go to open, what is it going to be this time?
Yeah.
And lots of times I didn't care for a long time, but now I'm like, no,
yeah. Yeah, this is.
I did my time and I got sick. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
So
I wonder, how much of it is that? Because I found there are things I'm entitled to because of my service, and it feels wrong to collect them or to ask for them.
Yeah.
Even though
I think, I only served 14 years.
14, yeah, only.
Yeah.
Only. Do you hear the word you're saying? Only 14 years. That's I mean, if you might get out in 14 years for good behavior, right? Like 14 years is not a drop in the bucket.
That have done, 30 years, and I still would have been there, but
yeah. No. Only 14 years. Yeah. I think we need to take that quantifier off of there. I think 14 years is a lot.
Okay.
That's a lot. So other than work, where do you find your, where's your purpose and your passion? What's the thing that makes you want to get out of bed every day, or?
Well, I can honestly say my family and my home where I am. My neighbors are fantastic. My neighbor across the bridge here said when I came home, he says I look great now. He said, Sue, this is the best I've seen you. When you came home from your tours, you looked horrid. I said, really? But he never told me at the time. He was just happy to see me when I got home. But now he says, you look great. So and they're happy to see me more often out and about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So just that circle of family and friends is, yeah. And I mean, you keep busy.
Gardening.
I was gonna say you've got a couple animals around.
Yeah, I have the pigs and the chickens and our dogs.
Yeah.
My neighbor's dogs.
I don't think I've ever seen so many dogs in one place as last night. So yeah, it's there's a few. Yeah. Okay, and is there anything else you do that excites or inspires you to, any other hobbies or I guess energy outlets?
Oh.
I mean, you've been on a few Soldier On camps.
Yes, and I should say thank you to Soldier On, because that was probably one of my first major outing without my family with me, and it was really, really tough, but I met you, which was wonderful. Great people and supportive, and I didn't feel so alone in this whatever you call it. Yeah, in this mess.
That's a good word. Yep. Okay. And I guess, is there anything else you wanted to share or say to anybody who might be listening?
Just to reach out, and there is great people out there to help, but you have to reach out, and that's sadly some haven't reached out. So please reach out and be determined. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.